Welcome to the very first podcast for our young adult community here at the Cathedral of the Most Sacred Heart of Jesus, Knoxville, Tennessee. If you like what you hear, please share it. And of course, you can find it on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. We have a couple of really special guests, including our own pastor, Father David. And without any further ado, here it is. Welcome to the Cathedral Young Adults Happy Hour podcast, our very first episode of this podcast. We could not be more excited for you to join us and journey along with us every single week as we talk all things young adult related here at the Cathedral of the Most Sacred Heart of Jesus. And today we have some guests with me. Each week we'll probably have some guests. We'll talk about different topics with our guests. And of course, they will give us such insight. And I'm super excited with who we have on our very first episode. Let me introduce a couple of them. Number one, we have our pastor, Vicar General of the Diocese of Knoxville, Father David Boettner. Welcome, Father. How are you?
I'm awesome, Rick. It's great to be with you. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. And we are joined. See, you're our guest. I'm going to call these our special guests.
Absolutely.
Because I'm going to assume that we'll definitely be on more episodes together.
Absolutely. Okay. I'll definitely be a frequent flyer.
Excellent. We have some what will be infrequent flyers with us today as well. So we have Greg and Cora Bennett, who have been with us. Well, I'll let them tell you kind of a little bit about their history and everything. Greg and Cora, welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having us on here. I am a little slighted that you called us infrequent flyers, I guess. You already know that it's going to be one and done here. So,
well, spoiler alert. Yeah, we foreshadowed a little bit, didn't we? So for those of you who might not know who Greg and Cora are, they have really spearheaded a lot of our young adult initiative here at the Cathedral and have been so pivotal in a lot of different, not just events that we've done, but also our men's and women's Bible studies that have been going on and just different things that are a part of our community. And they even had a baby here baptized and all kinds of stuff. Let's talk with them first. What do you say, Father? Is that okay to get them on? Wonderful.
You know, one of the best things is that our cathedral community is so welcoming and so I think easy for families to come into. And of course, your son Soren is just a delight, and I love how he joins in the singing at Mass. So that's really been great.
I think we can hear him in the back pews too. It's wonderful. It's excellent.
You can't hear him. You don't come to 7:30 Mass. You don't know.
Oh, that's great. So, Greg and Cora, we'll just kind of leave this. I'm going to keep saying Greg and Cora. They are two different individuals. It's not one person, but there's such a package deal that
It's kind of like when people from up north say Long Island. It sounds like one word, Long Island.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Greg and Cora.
Yeah, and I think anybody that knows Greg and Cora.
Yeah.
If I say it faster, maybe it's worse. I don't know.
You just say Grora too.
Oh, is that the official nickname, you guys?
That's our
really?
What's it called?
Cora does not.
I'm not contributing to this.
I'm surprised that it didn't turn out to be Keg.
Huh?
Yeah.
Oh, keg.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is. Our podcast is called Happy Hour, so maybe that's what we'll refer to you guys.
Keg.
Keg. So Keg, why don't you give us a little history on you both coming to Knoxville? How did that happen? How did you find this place? What drew you to the Cathedral? And any thoughts on the young adult initiative that we'll talk about a little bit? How'd you get involved with all that?
Yeah, so we moved here almost 5 years ago when I started my doctoral studies at the University of Tennessee. I just recently finished a PhD in economics, so that's what drew us here. We were fresh out of undergrad.
Fresh, young and reckless. I have to say, but
I was coming from Seton Hall University in New Jersey, and Greg was coming from Indiana University in Indiana. And so we moved here. We were not married yet.
Nope.
So I found some roommates. Greg sadly lived by himself.
Yep.
No one wanted to live with him.
I'm an extreme extrovert, so living by myself is very painful. So I came to daily Mass every day just to hopefully talk to somebody, but
But yeah, and then we just lived near the cathedral, so that's the parish we went to. What else was in that question?
How did you get involved with kind of this whole young adult initiative?
Yeah, so we started with, I guess, the diocesan group.
Forsati?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, that's what it's called. Yeah, and they had large group events every week, about 30 to 40 people. But I think we really longed for a smaller community that we could have discussions with, really
connect with.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the large group definitely serves a purpose, absolutely, for new people or just like growing in fellowship with people you might not be in a small group with. Like, there is absolutely a purpose for that. But we weren't feeling as though we were given the time or space to really connect on a deeper level with people at those large group events.
Gotcha.
And we
really get to know people.
Yeah, and we feel strongly about how small groups work to bring that small community closer to God and like walk together on that spiritual journey. And we just weren't finding that in the large group events. Yeah. So we started the small groups, the
Here
women's
at the
group and the
Cathedral,
men's group that were connected to the Cathedral, in hopes of really growing that young adult group among the young adults in the Cathedral parish.
And this was, of course, pre-pandemic, so you were meeting in person. It was all face-to-face. The good old days.
Back when everything was easy.
Yeah, true. That's
we started in January 2018.
No, 2017.
No, 2018.
Really?
Yep, really.
Oh, okay.
Man.
Wow.
Okay.
Do I dare ask what day your anniversary is on? Or is that going to be a...
We do have... So... No, I know what our anniversary is. I know what our anniversary
I got a little worried there for a second.
That was a long pause.
No.
That was a bit of a long pause.
We did our marriage prep here with Deacon Dan, and on the very first meeting when he kicks the spouse out to ask questions, I didn't know when we got engaged. I was like, it was sometime in the spring of last year.
Yeah.
Could be February, could be March, could be April. It was
he
all
just asked
blur.
which month. He was just like, month. Just to see if there's any red flags or anything. And
Well,
it's a clear red
it
flag.
was the second quarter of the year.
Second semester, spring, after spring break, I don't know.
It was definitely the late 2010s,
Yeah.
for sure, right? That's spectacular. And so then you both really kind of just jumped in right away and wanted to be a part of the process. And you've had some experience in the past in small groups, so you brought that experience with you. Now, Father, at what point did we jump in with St. Meinrad's Young Adult Initiative? So maybe even explain that a little bit about what that was and how that all came to fruition.
So when David Wells was our director of adult faith formation and evangelization, he and I encountered this opportunity to apply for a grant program with St. Meinrad, and they were beginning a young adult initiative with multiple parishes around the country. And they really just wanted parishes that were willing to fail, to be quite honest. They wanted people who were willing to take risk and try things and not be so focused on a numbers game or, is this going to increase attendance, but more, what are the things that really speak to the young adult experience, and how do you create a welcoming community where young adults feel at home? And we both were really attracted by the concept of the Young Adult Initiative that St. Meinrad was doing, as well as the possibility of learning, being with a cohort that could share ideas, that could help us to learn some best practices. And so, Dave did a great job of filling out the grant application. And of course, with grants like that, I don't know if you've worked on a lot of grant applications.
No, I have not.
It's one of those things. You fill a lot of applications out, and you don't get a lot of success. So I think we had pretty low expectations of even being selected. And so then when St. Meinrad contacted us and said, "We'd like you to be part of this group," we were just ecstatic. We're like, okay, now what? Now what do we do? And so then we started looking for people who were already in our young adult community, people who were already, engaging in ministry at a variety of levels, and just started trying to find people who we could really draw together and invite to kind of take this walk and be willing to try this initiative.
That's spectacular. And this is, we're actually entering our final stages of the St. Meinrad experience with the Lilly Foundation, who has funded us very nicely. And helped us to be able to do things that we probably could not have done without their assistance. You know, I mean, we were able to dream big. That's one of the biggest things. When I first came aboard a little over a year ago, I was told constantly, dream big. You know, be willing to take some chances. You have to be willing to fail. And so anybody that knows me knows that I'm okay with that. That's very good. So these guys are laughing because they know.
I thought you were going to say, anybody that knows me knows I'm a failure. So.
That might be true as well. But with the thing that I love is we do come together. There's 14 parishes in this Young Adult Initiative with St. Meinrad. And we come together every 6 months and share ideas. We just recently did it. I got a couple new ideas of things I want to try. And maybe we gave them a couple of ideas of things like this podcast being one of them. And just opportunities for us to meet young adults where they're at, not expect them to be where we are, but to meet them where they're at and then bring them along the process. So over the last, now it's been 4 years for you guys here, 5 years, whatever it is. We're not going to talk dates anymore.
Yeah.
We're done with that.
Just some of those things.
Asking Cora for a date is just kind of, you know, it's one of those things, but that's okay. That's okay. Well, we're not going to work at dates. She's great at math.
Great at math, bad at dates.
So some of the events that we've had here on campus in the time that the Bennetts have been with us, if you could think of maybe one or two events that really stuck out to you, what would those be? Like when you, because we're going to talk about where you're headed next in just a second, but let's talk about where we've been. What are a couple of the events maybe that you've been a part of? And Father, you can chime in at any moment as well. A couple of events maybe you've seen,
Sure.
Part of our young adult community. What has struck you the most?
Yeah, so we had a beer brewing event. This was
3 years ago?
Yeah.
Was it that long ago?
Let's go with 3.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Sponsored by Keg?
Yep.
Yes.
Sponsored by Keg. There we go.
I see a theme coming through.
And we were super pumped for this. We had a bunch of equipment and stuff. Then it was going to rain all day. And of course, that's an outdoor event.
Of course.
A beer brewing event. So we thought it was going to be canceled. We were able to put it under some tents and stuff. It still rained. We had a good turnout. But then the next month, we decided to tap that beer that we brewed at the event. And have a Dominicans on Draft event.
Nice.
Right? So instead of theology on tap, we went with a Dominicans on Draft. So of course, we had to find a Dominican who was willing to come and talk to us, but we found that.
Conveniently, there is a convent in Oak Ridge.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
How convenient.
So we had the sisters come down.
Yep. And then we tapped the beer that we brewed. Some was good, some was
Really awful.
horrible actually, really horrible. But we had a blast.
Absolutely.
So, I'm just really tying those two events together. And then one was almost a failure with the rain, but then we were able to use that to kind of, I guess, rebound into this other event, and I guess sell it as, hey, if you missed the first event, or even if you're at the first event, we have a continuation of this event.
Yeah.
Like, all the beer we brewed here is going to be at the next event.
Well, and I remember that second event. There were so we planned it it was Saturday night after Vigil Mass. There were so many people that flooded into the Cathedral Hall.
Oh, wow.
We had tables of new people, multiple tables of people I had never seen before.
Amazing.
Because it was in August, too, so it was in a college town. It's right when...
Perfect timing.
Lots of new people are moving into town
Yes.
for grad school and other new jobs. And so there were so many people, and our group grew quite a lot after that event.
Yeah. That's spectacular. I love it when you can tie in events and everything. And who knows how many people we got stuck because of that. And who knows how many we drove off because of bad beer.
Yeah. The thing about the beer, though, is, again, it's a trial and error process. And I think everybody enjoyed that. And really, I think it's memorable more because of the bad beer than because of the good beer.
Yeah.
And because of the new friends we made. The other thing, it wasn't specifically a young adult event, but, the trivia nights that we've had seem to have really struck a chord with our young adult community. And of course, our young adults are quite aggressive with their trivia nights.
I have been a part of a couple. I have noticed that. Yes.
Yeah, well, I mean,
they take it seriously.
Cora was very angry that, Okay, I was angry. I was angry, and Cora was angry with me. You know, because we're the
Keg
same
was
person.
angry.
Yeah.
Keg was angry.
That it was a lot of let's say older trivia. A lot
so
of
it was a
trivia from,
biased
It
trivia.
predated me. It predated us.
Experienced persons only
Yes.
need apply.
It was heavily weighted to the 80s.
I
would say
earlier.
70s.
At least one of them was. Well, then we had a couple young adult trivia nights over Zoom. One or two.
We had two.
Yeah, those were a lot, even though we weren't playing. Because we made appropriately leveled trivia questions.
Yes.
Appropriate.
Were those more
appropriate.
fun, do you think?
I hope so. I made it.
I was going to say, I think I know why. They were a little bit more fun.
We had a blast.
We had a blast making it.
I bet. And you always won. It was crazy how you guys won. I don't know how that happened.
It's incredible.
They
knew every answer.
They
it was
really
as if
did.
they had written the question.
I mean, she does have a PhD.
Yeah, that's
true.
But you know, that was actually that was a really good learning point, though, because it's kind of typical of when parishes try to program young adult ministry without involving young adults. You know, if a guy in his 50s like me is trying to figure out the trivia for a young adult event, it's not going to work so well.
Not as well.
You know, I just experienced that with our middle schoolers earlier today because I was asking some of our 7th and 8th grade boys just to write, you know, some positive qualities that they see in their peers. And so they, you know, took turns with each student writing these positive qualities on the board. And then, of course, I'm looking at some of the things they wrote, hoping that they really were positive, but not quite sure where they were because I didn't know what they meant. And so I pulled up the Urban Dictionary very quickly and started identifying. And in fact, they all were positive, but there were a couple in there that had, you know, escaped my notice previously.
In their own language, yes.
Yes, their own language.
Yes. It's incredible how quickly that language changes as well. Yeah.
Yes.
No, so we had some trivia events. We had the brewery event or brew your own
Yeah.
good or bad beer event, right? And anything else, Cora, that what really struck me the most about the two of you was your leadership abilities within the Bible studies as well. You guys are kind of natural born leaders, even though, would you call yourselves introverts? No.
No.
We're extroverts.
You're extroverts.
I am 1,000%.
He's not allowed to do late night events because then we don't go to bed until 11 p.m.
That is so great. And so when it comes time to leadership, I've seen you both lead, and it's so spectacular to watch, and how the ladies respond to you, Cora, and the men to you, Greg, and how they're just willing to jump in and listen, whatever they say, we're in, we're golden for that. So what has been your feeling towards these smaller groups? Do you think we've kind of hit some successful marks? As up and down? Is it always good? Is it always bad? What has been your sense of when we do the smaller groups? Because we talk about larger events, but really the thrust is small groups, right?
Yeah.
What's been your feeling on that here?
Yeah, no, the men's community has stayed extremely consistent over the last 3.5 years, which is
Exceptional.
I guess normally kind of rare in any kind of ministry, whether it be 8th grade, adult, high school, young adult, you know.
And you said men's ministry, right?
Yeah, men's.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. It's incredible. I mean, really, it's a rarity to hear.
Yeah, right. I mean, we've had a solid group of 6 to 8 guys for the last 3.5 years. You know, we've been as large as 12. You know, there's been some attrition there, you know, people moving away or whatever.
Certainly.
But, I think what we were really able to capture from a men's side is I saw that they were really, I guess, longing for some kind of substance. You know, like they wanted to really get to know the Lord and His church, and not just always, what's the moral of the story?
Right.
You know, or what's the takeaway, right? I mean, that's kind of what we search for sometimes, just like, okay, I read the story. All right, what can I bring home? We really dove into how does this connect throughout salvation history? What is the story here? How can we get to know the Lord through this, whether that be in the Old Testament or the New Testament? So we, I guess, really tried to hone in on
ownership,
Substantive.
really. Yeah. Because once,
Substantive.
yeah,
group.
I was going to say, every time I'm a part of it too, they really go to town, and they've owned it. They take some homework from it. They delve into it. And that's the thing about faith, right, Father, is our parents' faith, when it's handed to us, that's great for them. But at some point, we have to have ownership of it.
Yeah, and I think that validates a lot of the studies we've seen with young adult Catholics and young adult Christians in the United States. A large number of folks that are leaving active participation in church are leaving because they're not mentally stimulated by the belief that we're giving them baby food and they're looking for substance.
Yeah.
And so
Exactly.
I think both of you have done an exceptional job of not providing baby food, but really challenging our young adult community to go deeper, to really tackle some tough questions that are present in people's lives. So I think that's part of the reason why you've seen that, that consistency, but also I think you both just done a marvelous job of shepherding the communities that you've attracted and nurtured.
Yeah. Cora, for the ladies?
Yeah, so we actually grew quite a bit in the first year and a half, and we tried to split the group.
You were too big.
Yeah, we were too big for a while.
This is a medium group.
We had a carrying capacity above 10 for about a month straight.
Wow.
And this was a year and a half ago, I think. And then we had quite a bit of attrition from people moving away. Somebody moved to join a religious order. A couple people moved just to be closer to family or for new jobs.
Yeah.
And I don't want to
About
say
half the group left all at once.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
It was
it was a summer where we had about 5 girls that left.
Oh, my goodness.
And they all moved, and I'm still quite close with several of them. And then we slowly grew back up, and then the pandemic hit, and online was a struggle for the women.
Certainly.
So we're moving back in person soon, and I'm really hopeful that that people return, because our group, the community itself has survived. Like there are people, even though they don't come to small group week, like they are still a part of the community, and we still talk to them. We're all still friends, but hopefully they return to the actual small group soon.
Now let's talk a little bit about where you guys are headed. So you have some big changes coming up here. Tell us a little bit about what's happening in the life of the Bennetts.
Yeah, so I will be graduating. I finished my doctoral studies here, and I actually took a job as an assistant teaching professor at Notre Dame.
Yay!
So we're
The
moving.
Notre Dame?
Yes.
Yeah, the University of
Yes.
Notre Dame du Lac.
Du Lac.
Yes.
Du Lac.
Nobody ever hears the Du Lac.
No, so I got some official paperwork last week that had the du Lac on it, and
Nice.
I really want them to pick a name and stick with it. But
It sounds a little aggressive, like Notre Dame du Lac. You're like,
Sounds very official.
yeah, right.
yeah, but we are moving back home, so we're originally from Indiana. We're really excited to be close to family again, and work at a Catholic institution. It'll be great.
That is so spectacular. What is this date? Is there a date in the ethosphere? Are we allowed to say when you guys are moving or anything? Is that hush-hush at this point?
So we're moving May 8th.
Wow.
That's close.
Yike.
That's
a
very
week from
close.
Saturday.
That's
Saturday.
yeah. As of
Yeah.
this recording,
Yeah.
that's a week from Saturday. So
Yeah, we were up in South Bend last week and we closed on a house. It all happened much earlier than what we had envisioned. But with the housing market the way it is right now, we saw a house, we had to jump on it. And so
Yeah, you just got to go.
Yeah.
absolutely. Wow.
Yeah. Well, just on behalf of the Cathedral Parish, I just want to thank both of you for the beautiful ministry that you've engaged with while you've been here, and just for the love and support you've given to the young adult community and your leadership. I'm just incredibly grateful for that, and so proud of what you've done here. And I think you've really given us a great foundation to build on. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It was our pleasure. We
Yeah.
really enjoyed it. We wouldn't have done it without it. I don't know how to say that.
I think you did. I think you just said it.
I think it's part of who you are. I think it's just part of your nature, but you need to know that isn't always the case, and that's a real gift that you guys have to offer. So I have no doubt that you will continue to do that in South Bend, but just know that we in Knoxville are tremendously grateful for your gifts here.
Yeah, it's been a Absolute pleasure on our end. For me, especially coming in, and you have welcomed me in this new vision of ministry. And that's the thing. We're super sad to have you go. I mean, that strikes a chord with all young adults that have ever met you. But we're also super excited for what's to come in your areas. We'll stay in touch for sure. We'll have many podcasts in the future. You know, this little podcaster
Not
can
with
actually.
us, though.
Well,
Yeah,
I said infrequent. I didn't say one and done. Okay, so I have the ability to actually phone you in at some point. So yeah, won't that be nice?
Well, and just going back to Greg's comment about consistency, one of the nice things about Keg moving to South Bend is that the basilica on the campus of Notre Dame du Lac is dedicated to the Sacred Heart.
Is it?
I didn't know that.
I did not know that.
Wow, look at that tie-in.
Yeah.
You didn't know it, but you were called to it. Amazing how that works. Well, Father, we're going to have many more opportunities to talk young adult ministry. We'll look at what the future holds and everything. But won't it be nice if to end our first podcast ever, if you wouldn't mind giving a blessing to the Bennetts on their way and, closing our podcast that way, I think would be a spectacular move.
Absolutely. The Lord be with you.
And
And with your spirit.
May Almighty God watch over you. May He guide your steps and guard your hearts. May He fill you with joy, and may He console you in your sadness. May you always know His presence with you, and may He bless you all days in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
Amen. Thank you so much for that, Father. Greg and Cora, Keg,
Okay.
thank you so much for being on this podcast. And this is not the end. It is simply a new beginning. We really appreciate you guys being here.
Yeah, thanks for having
Thank
us.
you. Yeah.
Yes. And we thank everyone listening for joining us. We're looking forward to many more podcasts. If you have ideas, please feel free to email us, call us, do whatever way is easiest for you to contact us. But we are really thrilled to be able to offer this to you. And we look forward to seeing you next time on the Cathedral Young Adults Happy Hour Show. Isn't that great? Thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll see you next time.